parents ignore my requests to stop giving me unneeded appointments and continue to let my brother abuse me, as well as berating me for having my own life. Subscribe to our channel, like and comment. Hello everyone. I'm terribly sorry about my absence and the wait. I've recently got a new job, and I'm working late shifts. However, the job is rewarding and I get paid well. I'll start off with some good news. Me and my friends are planning on moving in together at a share house, and I recently had my first kiss. It felt lovely. I'll start with my therapist. Before I graduated high school, I had to see a therapist due to my mental state constantly deteriorating. This was because I was bullied by nearly every single popular kid for needing help with schoolwork. I was at a point where I wanted to kill myself over any small inconvenience. I've been seeing her since I graduated and have still been seeing her, even though I don't need any more appointments. I've tried telling my parents this, but they just ignore me. My therapist has started to care more about money than the mental health of her clients, and charging exorbitant amounts of money for the children and adults she has appointments with. It's gotten so bad that my mother is fishing out money from her retirement and heritage funds to pay for it. This deeply concerns me, as I don't want her to go broke, and I don't want the same thing to happen to any of my family members, and I've been begging them to stop sending me to these. The response I usually get is, "But you need them and that they'll help you." The content of the appointments is fairly straightforward, with each of us talking about how our weeks were and our plans for the future. She helped me with strategies in the past when I needed them, but now she's just stealing expensive moments of my life away when I don't even need the appointments. I've tried telling her this as well, but she's ignored me. She charges a cancellation fee for her appointments if canceled, and I don't know how much it is, which is where the incident last night came in. Me and my BF are seeing Across the Spider-Verse today, and I'd already ordered the tickets. I had an appointment with her booked for tomorrow, but last night, she sent me an email for an appointment today without even giving me any knowledge she was changing it. I was stunned, and I couldn't cancel the tickets. I told her I couldn't attend, and she then charged me the cancellation fee that I'd be paying for the next appointment. I checked my emails just in case I missed anything from her regarding this change, and there wasn't anything. I felt awful, as I've heard rumors about cancellation fees and how much they were. She emailed my parents about this as well, and they barged into my room and started screaming at me. It was apparently my fault that this happened, and their screams and verbal abuse made it even worse. I wanted to cry, but they'd yell at me for that too. They then began to insult my life and insult my friends, as well as my BF. They whined about me telling him to reimburse me for the tickets, and the supports come first, before guilt-tripping me. I believe they're trying to look after me, but I just feel concerned. As soon as they left, my brother started to hit objects and make loud, unneeded noises to disturb my hatred for loud noises, knowing it would make me feel worse and more likely to scream into my pillow, which would give him the favorite child feeling, and my parents would end up yelling at me more. Before all this, I had a difficult day at work. It was very busy, and I had to deal with a rude, abusive entitled customer that believed she was my manager and barked orders at me. She eventually left, but I found it difficult to get past that situation. The only good thing that happened was a little girl trying to say thank you to me after I helped her mother. I was really looking forward to relaxing after work, but I should have known that I couldn't do that either. Later on, I was watching One Piece and playing a Harry Potter game on my Switch, when my mother barged in without knocking. I could tell she was going to say goodnight, so I hugged her and said goodnight, and to have a nice sleep. She tried to intimidate me with a stare, and told me that I need to make better choices, and that she canceled my weekly payments from her account, before telling me that my account was down 25. After that, I felt tired, and wanted to sleep. I'd had enough today, so I tried to say goodnight to my brother. In response, he began thumping his hands against his desk and rudely mimicking me saying shut up, which is what I told him the last time he did that, as I couldn't mentally handle this. I eventually gave up and cried in my room, falling asleep. This morning it continued. I woke up and began making breakfast, when my brother decided to storm into the kitchen, and shove me aside as well as the bowl I was pouring milk into, causing some to spill over the bench. He teased me for making a mess, and the moment I tried to say something, he made a shushing noise. He then ordered me to do the dishwasher, even though I kept telling my family that the dishwasher made me feel nauseated, and I tried to tell him this. I was met with another shushing noise at this, and he threatened me that I kept talking, he'd punch me as hard as he could. I finished making breakfast and sat down, attempting to eat it as fast as I could to escape from the kitchen and from him. I thought he'd stop, but this wasn't the end. He started berating me for enjoying anime and reading manga, and that it promoted violence and it was the reason I was violent, apparently. He also judged me for having different likes and dislikes to him. I recently tried telling my family what my kink was, and they called it disgusting. I now have to pretend to no longer be into it. He'll start something over something as small as a character in a movie that he doesn't like. For example, I like Penny Parker from the Spider-Verse movies, and he hates her because she's designed as an anime character. He's even told me that I'm not allowed to like child characters because it counts as something disgusting that I won't even mention. I just want this to end, and I'm hopefully moving out soon with my friends. I can't wait to get out of this place, and start a new life away from these people. Thanks for reading, and I hope you all have a great day. I'm terribly sorry about all this. I saved their son's life and they try to make me pay. Subscribe to our channel, like and comment. For background information, hey race the story, I'm 15, F, and one of my closest friends is 19, F, who we will call C, her boyfriend, myself, Z, 23M, we're hanging out with Z's friend E, 23M. Z was mad after a 14-year-old girl called him a pedophile, he is and she had reason for calling him that. Z and E went for a walk in a nearby forest and came back 20 minutes later with a random dead plant which also happened to be one of the most toxic plants in our province. I've done a lot of extensive research on plants in our province merely because it had interested me and I knew that plant was a spotted water hemlock. I told him to put it down and what did he do? He took a huge bite out of the stem. Luckily because the plant was dead it had lost some of its toxicity but not enough for it to not be potentially fatal. I immediately called an ambulance for him and spent the whole night in the hospital for him while he got treatment. I spent the hours from 6 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. in the hospital with him, missing out on my job. I didn't leave the hospital for anything because Z wanted me to stay there. I've never particularly liked Z partly because his aggression and his pedophilic tendencies didn't stop at that one 14-year-old previously mentioned. This all happened a month and a half ago. 3 days ago, I was hanging out with my friends C and Z again and Z informed me his parents want me to pay for the ambulance. I told him blatantly I refuse to pay for saving their son's life. Personally, I think he should pay. He's a 23-year-old man crying out loud and I'm a 15-year-old girl who had to save his life after he did something I told him not to. For what I currently know, his parents are still trying to get me to pay and unless a court deems me liable to pay I will continue to ignore their belligerence. Edit. I live in Canada for those who are wondering. I don't live with my parents and I pay for my own bills, minus food thanks to my non-official caregiver. I have 4 jobs but don't work many hours because of what my jobs are. I have 3 cleaning jobs. Job 1 I work 2 hours Mon, Tuesday, Wed, Thursday. Job 2, every Monday. Job 3, every second Tuesday, and the last job is a restaurant job in which they call me and if it's a busy night. Entitled Mom thinks my wedding is for her and her guests. Subscribe to our channel, like and comment. Hi, I'm not sure if I'm posting this in the right place but I need somewhere to post this and rant. I was gonna use a throwaway account but IDC this is the one I use all the time anyway. I, 24F, am getting married next year and my mom thinks she can invite whoever she wants to invite to my wedding without asking my fiancé and I first. My mom just found out about a family member that she's never met before to be invited to my wedding. I just recently sent out save the dates and I gave one to her, and come to find out she sent hers to this family member behind my back. I tried explaining to her that I understand it's family, but we have never met them before, and I'm not trying to have my wedding be the place that we meet for the first time, and weddings aren't family reunions. She thinks I'm being a bridezilla, and I feel bad, but it's my wedding and I should have a say on who's invited and who's not. She also took it upon herself to invite my uncle's sister-in-law and uncle's mother-in-law. She talks to them and they're nice. She didn't even ask me if she could invite them, and she told them they could come, so now I'm feeling obligated to give them an invite since they now know about my wedding. She also has stated that since my dad and her in paying for my venue, that she should have a say on who's invited, what colors I'm choosing, and what music is played. It's not just my wedding, but it's my family's wedding as well. She also will say things about me to my brother's girlfriend like, "Oh, I can't wait until y'all get married. You'll let me do whatever I want for y'all's wedding," or "God, she's so difficult. You wouldn't be this difficult if y'all were getting married. I'm just not sure what to do anymore, and I shouldn't feel this stressed about my big day." My brother continues to abuse my family, and I continue to get blamed for his behavior. Subscribe to our channel, like and comment. This will be a continuation from my last post, and I want to clear some things up from the last post, due to some of the comments I got. My parents pay and are reimbursed for the appointments, but I had to pay for the cancellation fee and probably won't be getting that money back. For my kinks, I was keeping them a secret because I was unsure of how they'd react, and I managed to choose a time where my parents were calm so I could talk to them about it without the pressure of work. I should have kept it a secret, as they attempted to forcefully remove that part of me. I'll start with the events of what happened yesterday. As soon as I got back from my BF's place, I unpacked my bag and sat down, waiting for my driving lesson to begin. I hadn't even put my headphones on yet when my brother angrily stormed into my room. He demanded me to repeat myself, which confused me. I tried asking him what I said, but that made him even angrier. According to him, I said F***ku, or F***k off. The only thing I said to him at that time was "Hi, and how are you going?" He continued to demand me to repeat myself and stop lying, and at that point, I was beginning to feel stressed and angry. I'd just gotten home after a long train trip and having to deal with an abusive bus driver who yelled at a family to get off the bus because of the color of their skin. Thankfully, my instructor arrived, and I raced out with my brother chasing after me and screaming out obscenities. I ran outside, and saw the neighbor giving me a confused look. I felt embarrassed at this, and I quickly clambered into the car. I had a decent lesson, and there is stuff I need to improve upon. When I arrived back home, my brother had locked me out, even though he was inside. I rung the bell and tried to call out to him, and he soon arrived and told me to F***k off, and that I didn't belong here. I then took out my phone, and pretended to call our parents so he let me inside, and I was happy that plan worked. When my mother arrived home, she was tired, but I was happy to see her. I welcomed her home, and asked her how her day went. She asked me if I'd been making good choices, which annoyed me deeply, as she still believed what happened 2 nights ago was my fault. I tried explaining to her what my brother did to me and that he locked me out, which would make me late for work, but she ignored me and left. For today, I did a lot of chores, and I'll be doing a lot of them tomorrow. I didn't get nauseated too badly, but I did feel it. It got worse throughout the day, but I feel better now. I folded clothes, I did the clothesline, and my mother was trying out a new recipe. It was for curry. I got inside, and made myself some. There were 2 bowls of rice and curry. I sat down at the table, and I started eating. It tasted lovely, and there was also yogurt poured into a bowl on the table. I kept eating, and my dad suggested for everyone to talk about good things that happened in their days. He went first, and I waited for my turn. He selected my brother next, and we all listened intently to what he was about to say. Instead of something positive, he said, "What was that?" I felt my heart sink after hearing this, and he began demanding me to repeat myself, even though I hadn't said anything, and was just waiting patiently for him to begin. My dad tried to get him to start, but he interrupted him and continued demanding for me to repeat myself, saying that he always does this. I felt confused and angry, and my parents said that they'd all had stressful days, so I was worried for them too. I eventually told him to stop and that this isn't a good time, to which he erupted. I ate the rest of my dinner as fast as I could, and left the table quickly while my family screamed at each other, except for my mother, who was washing the dishes again, even though we begged her to stop. I asked my mother if I could use my plate so I could push it in the dishwasher, and she told me to piss off. I quickly left to brush my teeth, and cried in the bathroom. While I was brushing my teeth, my dad came in, and explained why it was my fault that this happened. I wanted to ask why, but he'd just yell at me for that. All I did was eat my dinner and wait for my brother to start talking. I was deeply hurt, and I was being blamed for my brother's abuse yet again. After he left, I moved down to the other end of the house so I could use the bathroom down there, since the one next to the bathroom was broken again. I did my business, and heard my brother yelling at my parents to see his side, and to do things his way. I washed my hands and left for my room when I was stopped by my mother. She apologized for telling me to piss off, and told me she was sick of his abuse. I tried explaining to her that I had no involvement in this, and then my dad walked in, asking what was going on. She told him that, he's just reminiscing about the past and what his brother has done to him. I accepted her apology and left, as she tried to berate me for running away. I ran into my room and cried, asking myself when this would stop. I'm concerned about him, even though he isn't my responsibility. The previous altercations he tried to start with me involved him hearing my voice, when I wasn't saying anything. He's done this in public as well, and I'm worried about him starting fights with strangers after hearing something that was never spoken.